Alright guys, we're out on Lake Simcoe, January 1st, 2025, and we're looking to catch some whiteys. The conditions are pretty rough. We have like 3 footers right now, 3-4 footers. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. The trolling motor is not really working very well. I can't get it to spot lock. It's very intermittent, if anything. I barely get any time with a spot locked trolling motor. It just keeps giving me an error. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. Worst case, I'll manually control the trolling motor to try and keep myself locked on the spot. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll be going over what I'm using, how I find these fish, and yeah, enjoy the video, guys. There we go. Just tapping bottom. So many of them chasing him, oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 whitefish coming up after their boy. Let me take my time with this guy. Get my pliers ready. There we go. Nice little whitey, ate that vibrato. There we go. Burp it out, buddy. Okay, vibrato's out. And there she is. Beautiful little whitefish. Back down she goes. Bye-bye, buddy. So that one hit it as I was tapping the bottom with the vibrato. So we just slammed that vibrato. Awesome. So basically what I do when I'm trying to find these whitefish is I'm obviously near areas where the whitefish have just spawned. And whitefish, there's 2 types of whitefish on Lake Simcoe, I'll say. Ones that sit shallow most of the time, and then there's other ones that are sitting deep, right? So right now I'm fishing the deep water whitefish, and these whitefish tend to have adapted to feed upwards since they're mostly feeding on shiners and other bait fish in these deep waters. There's not going to be any goby in 110 or 100 or 130 feet of water. So these whitefish are more prone to eating upwards as opposed to the whitefish in shallower waters, which are more used to feeding on gobies. So I like to use a vibrato with a high hook here, and a lot of the fish that I'll catch are ones that are chasing my high hook bait upwards, and so I'll be slowly reeling away from them and they hit it. But yeah, so basically to find these fish, I go near spots that I believe the whitefish spawn at, and I'll be scanning these deep water flats near these drop-offs, and I'll be looking for these humps on my sonar. So when you're scanning these fish, you really need to zoom in that sonar to like the bottom 20 feet of the water column, because they're very tight to bottom. So it'll be very difficult to see these fish on your sonar unless you're zoomed in on the bottom. You can very easily miss it. And I'll just be scanning here, and I'll see if I can find a school of fish so that we can fish them. And basically when you find these schools of fish, if you're seeing, like, it doesn't have to be a massive school of fish for to stop. Like if you see a school, a decent looking school, these fish move around constantly. So you stop, you fish the school, and they're 90% of the time, or definitely guaranteed, they're not gonna be under you the entire time you fish here. They're gonna leave and they cruise. The whitefish are extremely mobile fish. Jesus. And they're constantly on the move. So if your school leaves, doesn't mean you have to leave and find a new spot. Most of the time, you have another school come in, like in like five to 10 minutes. You wait, and then there's a new school under you. And I'll see if I can find a school here. So moving. So it's not really schools, it's kind of like pods. They usually, when you're working these whitefish, you have like 8 on the screen at a time. Probably more around, but at least under the transducer, that's usually how many I see. 6 to 8 whitefish is pretty average. All right, so here you see a school of whitefish. You see there are these little marks suspended slightly above the bottom. And again, I'm zoomed in, so it's much easier to see these fish as opposed to when your sonar or your screen isn't zoomed in on the bottom 20 to 30 feet. So once I find a pod like this, I anchor my spot lock in that spot, and I start to fish. And I'll sit there for probably 15 to 20 minutes. If I fish that first pod and I don't see another pod come in, I move to a next spot. So basically, you're trying these different spots, and you're trying to land on a spot where it's a whitefish feeding ground, where they constantly keep coming in and out of your area to feed. So they're constantly cruising. You want to find a spot that's kind of like a highway for these whitefish, and so don't think that because you find a pod you're gonna be able to fish in that spot the entire time without like constantly marking fish. That's not how it is. Yeah, they're gonna constantly keep moving in and out. They're very mobile, so they're moving around constantly, and that's why that vibrato is extremely important, because there's a pod moving near you, but not directly under you. You use that vibrato to call them in, and then they come in and you start working those fish. So yeah. Also, probably the most important thing I can say about fishing these deep whitefish is you have to find the depth that they're at for any given day. Sometimes they're 90, sometimes they're 100, 110. So once you find that depth that they're occupying in any given day, then you can start fishing for those whitefish and sitting on your spot and waiting for those massive schools of whitefish to come in and out and just fish for them. So yeah, I'll probably go over some techniques that I use and how exactly I work these fish. So yeah, stay tuned. No one's coming up to my high hook. Definitely getting chased there. Got it. Took it on the fall. See, so I was letting it chase, and then I saw he was backing off, and he took that on the fall. Have to get the net ready. Definitely going to be a whitefish. It's fighting like one. Oh, he just popped off. Ah, that sucks. Alright, so I'll break down for you guys what I'm using real quick. So on the bottom of your rig, you're going to want a vibrato, usually is what I start out with. So this is a 21 gram or 3/4 ounce natural shiner vibrato. And then 6 to 7 feet above that vibrato, I have tied on a size 4 owner mosquito hook. Tie it on just like a normal drop shot. And then on top of that, on that hook, I have a Kitech Easy Shiner, and this is the 2-inch, and the color is Sight Blue Ghost. I don't know, I like this one. It's just white, imitates any sort of bait fish down there. This works, and I've also used Megabass Hazardong shads, which work phenomenal as well. I've ran out of those, so I've just been using the Cadences, and they work fine. I've also used the X-Zone Stealth Invaders, which are also nice in the white color. And then the the Mags Micro Gobies are very nice too for the top hook. And yeah, so you just do as I was telling you guys. So you drop down to bottom. If you're not marking any fish, well, first you find the fish. So you cruise with your boat, and once you see a few fish, you stop by at that depth. And if you're not finding fish at a certain depth, like let's say you start at 100 feet, check shallower. If nothing shallower, go deeper. And once I find these fish, I stop at the school that I mark, and I just rip my vibrato with very short jerks like this, right off bottom. And then in between those jerks, I do like small taps and then jerk. Small taps, jerk, jerk, small taps. And then if I'm seeing a whitefish coming up to the high hook, because you can obviously tell that the whitefish is coming up to the high hook because the distance is so large, the 6 to 7 feet between your vibrato and the high hook, it makes it easy to see that the whitefish is specifically keying in on that bait you have on your high hook. Once I see they're coming up for that, I slowly start reeling away from the whitefish. Just very consistent reeling. You don't have to do anything crazy, no jerks, no nothing. You don't have to pause. Just slowly start reeling, and they absolutely crush that. That's like the best thing you want to see is when a whitefish starts chasing that high hook, because that's like almost a guarantee they're gonna hit you most of the time. And then yeah, so it's either you're gonna get hit when you're tapping that vibrato on bottom, or when that vibrato fluttering down after that short rip. On your next rip, you're gonna feel a whitey on, or they just hit that high hook. They chase the high hook and they hit the high hook. And yeah, it's pretty simple. There's not much more than that. You don't need live scope for this. You can use just your normal sonar like I've been using today. So yeah, I hope you have a better understanding of what the rig looks like. And yeah, that's my go-to. And sometimes on a more calm day, not like this, when it's wavy like crazy, I like to use a bottom jig. My go-to is the thingamajig from Outdoor Junkies, or some sort of Meigs bait. And yeah, so that Outdoor Junkies thingamajig is real nice because in this deep water over 100 feet, there's a lot of silt buildup on the lake bottom. And so when using a more compact bottom jig, like the popular ones that people use on Lake Simcoe, it kind of gets buried in that silt. But the good thing about the Outdoor Junkies thingamajig is that it has here I have one tied on, it has a more wide profile. It's kind of more bulky. If I can get it unhooked here. One sec. So it's kind of, yeah. So this is the thingamajig right here, and it's nice because it has that wide bottom. So when it's a silty muck bottom, it doesn't really sink as easily as the other bottom jigs. So it's real good to work bottoms in deep water with this. Yeah, so it doesn't sink. And basically with this, what you want to do is either directly on bottom, gentle taps, or slightly above bottom, just jiggle your rod tip, and you're gonna feel that bite, especially when you're not touching bottom. The good thing about this bait is you can very easily feel that tap when they hit it. When you're not marking fish with this, what I like to do is just basically raise it up 3 to 4 feet and just do up and down strokes. And then once I see fish come in, I drop down to bottom and do as I just said. But yeah, so on a rough day like this, vibrato kills, it's the king. You need a more calm day to use these bottom jigs because the bite can be more subtle, and it's pretty hard to pick up such a whitefish bite when the waves are like 3-4 footers. So yeah. One coming up high. He took it. Yeah, he took the high hook, so this one's not gonna get off. Hopefully. So I saw that fish was coming up, and I knew it was coming up for the high hook. That's one of the main reasons why you want to have a long distance between your high hook and your vibratos, so that you can definitively tell that when a fish is coming up, it's definitely coming for that high hook. Sometimes if you have your high hook too close to your bottom bait, they both get confused, they don't know which one to take, and you also don't know which one they're interested in. So having that long distance between your high hook and the vibrato definitely minimizes the confusion. Yeah, that's a whitey. Oh, that's stuck. And yeah, he took that high hook, that small Kitech. So, nice little whitey. So you're gonna have periods of time where you're not marking anything on the screen, but you'll see these schools come through. And basically, if you're not marking anything, you have to take your vibrato, lift it a foot off of the bottom, 1 to 2 feet off bottom, and perform large sweeps upward to create the vibration, flash, and sound down there. And for those whiteys to key in on something, right? You want to create some flash, some chaos down there, so that when a school of those whiteys is moving through in the area, they see that flash, they feel the vibration, and they come in to inspect what's going on. And you can, once in a while, leave the vibrato right on bottom and rip up from bottom to kind of stir up that bottom. And what those whiteys basically think is going on when they see that bottom getting stirred up is they think there's another school of whiteys on a feeding frenzy, and they come in to check it out. So once they come in to check your vibrato out, the school, you take your vibrato, is give short, sharp pops, just like this. I'll show you the tip of my rod. Let me just get to bottom. I'm on bottom, rip, rip, rip. Keep them short, rip. And let that vibrato fall on that slack line to the bottom. And always watch your line, because a lot of the time, a whitey will hit that shimmying vibrato as it's falling down. So you want to watch that line to see if it goes slack prematurely. And then once it goes slack too early, you know you have to set the hook. And I like to keep my rod tip just above the water and have the vibrato be on bottom when my rod tip is just above the water. So I really reel in the necessary amount for that to be the case. Got one. Oh, he just got off. Oh, they're chasing upwards. There's a whole school now. At least like 5 or 6 fish on the screen. Let's see. I just got bumped. So you always watch your line and rod tip. Saw it was falling and my rod tip jerked upwards. It tells me something happened down there. Either the fish bumped into my line, because there's a few of them down there, or he hit it and missed. Got one. See, so that fish, oh, it got off. So I had that vibrato on bottom there, and I was just tapping, and it felt a hit, or I felt my line go slack. They lifted it. There we go. Took the top hook. So again, I just saw that guy rising for it. for that top hook and just slow reel. That's all you need to do. And honestly, anything will work for that top hook. I've used so many different baits. Grumpy Baits makes a little micro goby bait that I've used and it's worked well. These Cadences, the small Cadences work great. The tiny Mega Bass has it on shads are fantastic. X-Zone Stealth Invader is real good as well. Yeah. So. Beautiful whitefish. And he absolutely choked that top hook. It's another beautiful silver fish. And she's gone. Awesome. I love that. A lot of the time you will see, like right now, whitefish coming up to that high hook. When you see that happening, what you want to do is slow lift or slow reel away from that whitefish. And once you do that, that fish will chase slowly, and I just got bit, and you will feel the bite. You'll feel like a light tap or the weight will disappear, the weight of your rig, and then you just set the hook. These whitefish are very used to feeding upwards in this deep water. So those are the benefits of having a high hook and a vibrato. Vibrato, insanely good for bringing fish in. Just causes chaos down there. A lot of vibration flash. Gets down fast. And yeah. So, see if we can hook up to one here. So, also I'll say, you can very easily tell when your vibrato is tangled as well. So when it's tangled, give it a couple rips, and a lot of the time it'll just untangle itself, and you'll feel that vibration of the vibrato in the tip of your rod. When it's tangled, you don't feel that vibration. It just feels like a wet sock. But yeah, make sure that your vibrato is always off of your line. And I got one. Oh, he just got off. Yeah. If your vibrato is not creating that vibration, it's not really doing its job. So you gotta make sure your rig is down there doing the work. Oh God, that one took the high hook. Saw him coming up, a few of them, to that high hook. Just slowly reel away from him. You don't need to do anything crazy, just a slow reel. Just like a natural bait fish. Natural bait fish don't go crazy or erratic. These pelagic bait fish, they slowly move away from the fish, like at a consistent rate. They don't do anything crazy when they run. So you're just basically imitating that. And those whitefish will come up and eat it. Especially these deep water ones. These deep water whitefish are used to eating upwards, unlike the ones in the shallows, which feed gobies, feed on gobies. So those ones you get most of them on the bottom baits. But these deep water ones, they're feeding on these shiners and stuff. So there he is on the bottom bait. I mean the top bait. That little Kitech. And just a perfect hook set in the snout. Yeah, this guy had no chance. No chance of getting off. Just a nice little whitey right there. Look at that. Awesome. Got one. Popped off. All right, guys. We had a fun day out on the water. It was a tough start in the morning because the trolling motor would not work. It wouldn't spot lock, and even throughout the day, it was very intermittent. It would spot lock for a few minutes, unspot lock, and so I barely had any time to actually work fish with my spot lock working. But yeah, conditions are crazy right now, so it's probably a good time for my trolling motor batteries to have died. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. And I mean, I would say get out here on the boat and fish for some whiteys, but we're getting some really cold weather coming for over the next few days, cold nights and cold days. So launches are probably going to freeze up imminently. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I hope everyone has a great 2025 fishing year. Plenty of big fish for everyone. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. It's always funny, the trolling motor stops working when there's fish on the screen, but works perfectly fine when there's nothing on the screen. It's actually pretty insane.